Hey guys, welcome to My Sew Bliss. Today I'm super excited to be partnering up with Baby Lock Sewing Machines and bringing you another sewing tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a sheath dress, which is pretty much just like a basic dress. It's going to be made out of a knit fabric, so it's stretchy and it just like sits on the body pretty straight. But the one thing I really love about this pattern and this type of dress is the possibilities with it are endless. You can change the pattern pieces and just add things to it. You could add different sleeves or ruffles or anything once you get the hang of it and know how to alter patterns or kind of just want to play around with this dress and mix things up a little bit. This is a great like beginner way to start and then add on to it as you go. So I'm excited to make a couple dresses with you. And I'm going to be using my Baby Lock Vibrant, which is this serger right here. This is the basic serger in the Baby Lock Genuine collection. It is a wonderful beginner serger and just overall great like regular serger just to have. It's very basic, but the threading on it is super easy, and I feel like it's a great option if you don't want to go up into the higher price points of threading with the air threading and like that stuff. This I feel like is a great option for beginners or just someone who wants to have a serger around. If you're sewing with knits a lot, I highly recommend it. I'll put a link down below for it if you guys want to check it out. I'm also going to put a link down below for the pattern that I'm using. It comes from a company called Love Notions. I have used their patterns in the past and I really love them. So this is just another one of their patterns and it's really great. And like I said, they've actually even made other patterns that will kind of mesh with this pattern, so you can change things up, like the skirt. It could be more of a flare, things like that. So it's a great basic pattern and it's going to make a great everyday dress too. So once you have fabric, sewing machine, or a serger, then you're just going to need your basic sewing supplies. I am going to be doing a scoop neck on mine, and I'm using binding, just the fabric as the binding. You can buy bias tape if you want. And this pattern also comes with a yoke option. I'm not going to do that yoke option. I'm going to keep mine really basic and simple and do the binding option with that pattern piece that it comes with in the pattern. So that's what I'm going to do. So let's get started. For our first step, we're just taking our two back pieces. These are my two. They're still laying together, coming apart from the pattern piece, carrying them out. And I'm just going to put them right sides together. So I'm flipping it so that my right sides are together instead of my wrong sides. And I'm going to line up that center back seam and we're going to serge that together to start. Now we're ready to take our back piece with our front piece, right sides together, and we're just going to stitch one of our shoulder seams for now so that we can finish off the neck edge. So I'll just pin one of these and then go ahead and serge that together. With that one shoulder seam sewn, I'm then going to take my binding piece and open that up, and with right sides together, I'm going to line it up all along the neck edge. And I'm going to pin this all around, and this is just going to come around the front and all the way to the back to this shoulder seam, so we can stitch that in place. So for this step, you would typically use a straight stitch and not a serger, but I'm going to try this with the serger for this step, and then the next step after this that we sew, I believe I'll need to use that straight stitch. So I'm going to try this out and we'll see how it goes, but I think it's going to work out nice and just help with that added stretch of the neckline. Once you have that band sewn on, and that was the right sides, now we're looking at the wrong sides. I'm just going to iron with a really light temperature for this fabric. Just iron that seam up and iron the band away from the neckline. So once you've ironed that nicely, and depending on the fabric, you might not have to iron that much at all. But now, with the wrong sides up, So right sides are down. I'm going to go ahead and fold the band over the stitching that we just did. So it's kind of going to hide it for a second, or for now, I guess. And I'm going to iron that. And if you feel like you need a pin or clip as we do these steps, you can. Because once that's ironed, you don't need to iron it too much. But then you're going to flip it again, and you're going to get that binding to bring the seam to the back or the inside of the dress. So this is going to create that neckline, and this is the binded neckline. So you can iron it a little bit, and then I'm just going to pin it a few times so that it continues to lay nice. And I'm just going to barely get that seam to roll over to the back. Oops. So that way from the front you won't even see this binding. And then all raw edges will be tucked in as well. So I'm just going to iron it and pin it really well. Once you have that neckline stitched really well, we're just going to take it over to the sewing machine and stitch that down. And I still have the walking foot on from my past project, so I'm just going to keep using that. I think it's actually really helpful when I have slippery fabric. And then once you've got that sewn, if you have any kind of waviness in the neckline, you could also do some ironing on top of that. That just kind of helps the fabric to not be so wavy and lay more flat. So might want to do that before our next step. With that neckline finished, we're then going to just take the shoulder seams that haven't been sewn, line them up right sides together, and then sew them down. Our next step is going to be putting our sleeves in. So here I have one of my sleeves, and you want to make sure you're matching up your notches. So the back is going to have a double notch, and the front is going to have a single notch. And then our shoulder seam is going to have a single notch up at the top. So I'm going to flip it. We're going to be putting our pieces right sides together. So this piece is going to line up right here. Line my notch up with that seam and pin that in place. And then I'll take it over here to my double notch, line that up, and then pin. And then line up the sides, or this corner too. And then pin that. And then pull this around. It's kind of wonky, but it'll work out in the end as long as you're doing right sides together. Where's that notch? Okay, so we'll line this up right here. The corner. Then this notch right here. Line that up, and then we'll take it over to our serger and serge that sleeve on. With our sleeves sewn in, next we're going to finish off our side seams. So we're just going to be putting the dress right sides together. And I like to start right here at this armpit seam and pin that in place. And then work back up to the seam, up to the sleeve, and pin that in place. Make sure everything is lined up. And then go down the dress, pinning it together. And there's a notch a little ways down. Make sure those are lined up. And I think there's one more on the side seam as well. So just make sure your notches line up and everything's matching up correctly. once you have those side seams sewn, this is a great time to try on the dress, see how you like the length of the sleeve and the length of the dress, and cut off any if you need to, because our next step is going to be hemming the sleeves and the bottom of the dress. And it's going to be pretty simple, especially with this knit fabric. We don't really have to finish it off because it's not going to fray. So I'm just going to leave it as it is and then turn it to the wrong side. I'm going to turn it up an inch. And my sleeves are going to be a little bit looser on me. So I don't have to worry about this seam stretching. So I'm just going to do a top stitch, a straight stitch around. If you are worried about it stretching, the fabric stretching, so then the thread needs to stretch, you should probably or would want to do like a double needle stitch or a zigzag stitch, or a stretch stitch. So I'm just going to pin both of these sleeves in place, and then I'm going to do the exact same thing with the hem of the dress. So I'm just going to fold it up to the wrong side an inch and pin it in place, and then do a straight stitch all the way around. And then once you are done hemming, you are all done with your sheath dress. I just threw mine on to see how it looks. It's super comfy. I probably could have gone down one more size, but I actually kind of like how lightweight and breezy it is. I think this will be really nice. It could be like a good dress to throw on some tennis shoes and go. Even maybe put a cardigan over it or something. I don't know. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comment section down below, and I will leave all the links for everything I talked about in the description down below as well. So make sure you check out the Baby Lock Vibrant, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!